Solve each equation. We can distribute a negative just like we distribute any other factors. So negative times 1/2 is negative 1/2, and negative times 2 is a negative 2. Then we're going to move our variables, or combine our variables and move our numbers to the other side. 3x minus half of an x would be 2.5 x's. Then we'll add 2 to both sides. We have 2.5 x, and negative 4 plus 2 is negative 2. Divide both sides by 2.5, and that gives us x equals negative 2 divided by 2.5 is 0.8. Work through the remaining 3 problems to solve them for x or for y, depending on which variable it gives you. For problems 1 and 2, use the tape diagrams to find the value of x and the value of y. Well, here it has an x, and it shows it's 7. So we can put a 7 here. Then this one is 7 and 5 together. 7 plus 5 is 12. So y has to be 12. For this one, y is an x plus 2. So this is an x and an x and a 2. So this is 2x plus 2 equals 10. So the 2 x's have to be worth 8. So each x is worth 4. And if x is worth 4, then y has to be 4 with a 2, so 6. We've replaced or substituted this piece up here in the y position because they are the same. Consider the tape diagram and the systems of equations. Solve the system of equations by substitution. So we're replacing this y with the x plus 2. So it'll look something like this. X plus 2, because that's replacing the y, equals 10. So 2x plus 2 equals 10. We subtracted 2 from both sides. 2x equals 8. Divide by 2. X equals 4. But then you have to substitute it back in to one of the original equations. So replace the x with 4. Y plus 4 equals 6. Remember, we have to write our solution as a coordinate. So x comes first, and then y. Find an expression equivalent to x, then solve the system of equations by using the substitution method. Check your solution. So we're going to move the 2y over because we want it to be equivalent to x. Minus 2y over here. This turns it into x equals negative 2y plus 2. Now we're going to substitute this into the x position of the other equation. We'll have to distribute here. 5 times negative 2y is negative 10y. 5 times 2 is 10. Negative 10y and y make negative 9y. Now we'll move the 10 to the other side. Negative 9y equals 0. Divide both sides by negative 9, and we get y equals 0. Now we're going to replace that y value into one of the original equations. I chose the top one. 2 times 0 is 0. So x equals 2. Then we write it as a set of coordinates. Our x value is 2. Our y value is 0. If we check our solution, 5 times 2 is 10, plus 0 is 10. This time it wants us to solve it for y. This one already has the y by itself. It doesn't have the 2 with it, so I'm going to move the 5x over from this equation. And that gives me y equals negative 5x plus 10. So we're going to replace this y value with what the y is equal to. This is the same system, so we are expecting to get the same answer as the last problem. 2 times negative 5x is negative 10x. 2 times 10 is 20. We'll combine our terms here. 10 or negative 10x and an x make negative 9x. Subtract 20 from both sides. 2 minus 20 is negative 18. I'm going to have negative 9x over here. Divide by negative 9, and that gives me x equals 2. Now we need to replace the 2 into the x position of one of these equations. This one already has y alone, so I'm going to do the second equation. 5 times 2 is 10, plus y equals 10. Subtract 10 from both sides. 10 minus 10 is 0. So we still end up with the same solution. We just solved it by replacing y originally in this one and replacing x originally in the previous problem. Solve this system of equations by using the substitution method. Check your solution. I see here that there's already an x by itself, but I'm going to divide both sides by 4. Two divided by 4 is 1/2 y. 10 divided by 4 can be 5 over 2. Now I have x alone, so I'm going to replace the x in the other equation with what x is equal to. Two times half of a y is 1y. 2 times 5 is 10. Divided by 2 is 5. Combine our like terms here. A y and 6y makes 7y. Move the 5 over. Negative 2 and negative 5 make negative 7. Divide by 7 on both sides, and we get y equals negative 1. We can plug it back into one of these original equations. 2 times negative 1 is negative 2. Negative 2 plus 10 is 8. So to solve it for x, we divide both sides by 4, and x equals 2. Don't forget to write your solution as a set of coordinates. You can also check our solution. 2x, replace the x with 2. 6y, replace the y with negative 1. 2 times 2 is 4. 6 times negative 1 is negative 6. And 4 minus 6 is negative 2, so we know it works for that equation. That's the end of lesson 7. We're going to try another method in the next few lessons. So if your teacher does it differently and they use substitution method for all of these, that's fine. But we're going to start learning a different method, which is called the elimination method, as we go through in the next ones, even if the instructions say something different.